Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Dan Thomas, joined in the studio today by Shaka Hislop and Craig Burley. We also welcome, first time in a while, Mario Malchiot joins us. Julian Laurent, after his extended holiday, joins us as well, returning very much near the bottom of the Fantasy League. But no time to dwell on that as we reflect on Manchester United's defeat at Old Trafford yesterday against Liverpool. No surprise, it dominates the back page of the English headlines. Slot and bothered, shocking. Erik in a right muggle. We talked about it yesterday, but it's definitely worth showing you again. It was brilliant, wasn't it? The exchange between Ian Ladyman, the Daily Mail journalist, and Ten Hag. Here it is in all its glory.
The mistakes that your team here today are the mistakes that they've been making for 2 years. And what makes you confident that it's players that are the problem and not your coaching?
So what do you mean? Tell me then, explain me. Maybe you can explain me which mistakes we make regular.
Well, constantly turning the ball over in your own half, playing the ball out from the back, getting mugged, chances come on the back of it, counter-attacks when you're outnumbered, giving up endless chances in your own stadium against the team's biggest rivals. The greatest respect to it. We've been seeing that for so long now.
You are sure?
Absolutely.
I don't think otherwise you wouldn't win trophies as we did and to beat big opponents. So I'm sorry for you. I have another vision.
You wouldn't, with the greatest respect, play brilliantly against City in that final. You almost lost to Cambridge in the semi-final. I mean, come on, let's have a realistic view of what happened there.
I think we won after City the most trophies in English football. So I'm sorry for you.
I'm sorry for you. That's exactly what you want after.
But did he say the most trophies in English football?
Second most. So after City.
Yeah.
Who?
Well,
but is he talking about Manchester United historically?
No, he's talking about second most in comparison to everybody else.
During his tenure.
Yeah, during his time. Yeah. He's. What's he going to do, Craig? How's he going to fix this? Can he fix this?
Well, of course, Ugarte coming in should...
Oh, we'll talk about Ugarte. Ugarte is the saviour. We'll talk about him with Jules in a moment.
Yeah. Well, I'll just mention him, if that's all right. That's supposed to give them fixed part of the problem that was pretty evident yesterday. I suppose when Delic gets some more game time, I don't know when Shaw's expected to come back, but they've got Mazraoui and Dalot. McTominay's gone. I think they look short, even with Ugarte. I think they look short in the middle of the park anyway. Kobe Maino's a terrific young player, but I think defensively, and we didn't really touch on that too much yesterday because Casemiro was a big part of the discussion, that Kobe Maino has still got a lot to learn about the defensive aspect of the game. He's terrific on the ball, but he's still got a lot to learn about his positional sense. And so there's lots of flaws that a smirking Erik Ten Hag kind of brushes off. And I think Ian Ladyman, who I know pretty well, and he's, a bit of a bulldog in there.
It's just name dropping. Yeah.
He's a journalist. Why would I name drop a journalist? I couldn't give a stuff.
Why does it matter if you know him or not?
Well, I'm just telling you what he's like. Bit of a bulldog. Why don't you why don't you go back to the hospital and have a few more days off? Right? So, I didn't keep you in long enough, by the way. I'd have kept you in for a week. But I think he's manoeuvring himself back into the position that he was in. And I said this yesterday, that he was in towards the end of last year, where the United fans sort of wiped the slate clean a little bit with him, and they were kind of blinkers on, FA Cup final. He's the guy, even though they were out there selling themselves to all the other managers, they convinced themselves he's the guy, he'll get it right for us, blah, blah, blah. I think he's back in that position of vulnerability.
Yeah. But that was always the case, wasn't it, Shaq? We spoke about this after the FA Cup final win. If they keep him, he is very much not on solid ground, is he? Because of what's happened. Because of everything that led up to it, and how is he going to start the season? He started the season with 2 defeats.
Quite clearly wasn't on steady ground, just to start with. The fact that Manchester United kind of flirted with bringing in a new manager and spoke to people, but then decided that Ten Hag was the right decision, which shows that they were uncertain just to start with. And then, truth be told, and to Ian Ladyman's question, who I don't know as well.
Yeah.
I don't know as well.
Just because he doesn't... Do you know what it is? Just because...
I've heard he's a bulldog.
Just because he's over here and he doesn't know nobody, right? Nobody, no contacts.
I got sidetracked. To the question, before a ball was kicked, I thought Manchester United had a pretty decent transfer
Didn't
window.
you all predict Manchester United? Is that right? People were in my DMs.
No, I went for a draw.
Oh, OK.
Oh, I know. I did.
You
did
predict Manchester United, right?
But before a ball was kicked, hold on, we're not going on without.
I'm not going down DMs.
Somebody had to.
I had nothing else to do.
So before a ball was kicked, I thought United had a decent transfer window. Bring in De Ligt, Mazraoui, Zirkzee to provide cover. You sign Ugarte, OK, he's not available. So you think, yeah, they've started to address some of their issues. But to the question, it's the same Manchester United. For as good as you may want to paint the transfer window as being for Ten Hag, you even managed to get rid of Sancho, which, again, is another huge plus. It's the same exact Manchester United. So, again, to the question, I don't know how you have faith that Ten Hag is the man to turn this around.
And to be fair, yesterday watching the game, you would have thought that Slot had been there for a third season and that Ten Hag had been there for 3 games. Really, it felt like that. And yeah, you can look at the first half hour and the game was quite balanced and United were quite organised. Not that they offered much with the ball. And yet, Zirkzee has 2 big chances to score at some point when the game is 2-0 down and then 3-0 down. But overall, I just don't think it's enough. And again, but last season, remember how many times we talked about Ten Hag and his press conferences and how he was himself in denial of what his team was producing, of the work he was doing, compared to what we would see all of us. It's not good enough. He can say as many times as he wants. He won more trophies than anybody else bar City in his tenure. That's 2 cups. 2 cups, and last season was the worst ever season in the Premier League, and the worst season in the league for 40 odd years or something. So it's not because you won the FA Cup against all odds against City in the final that your season has been great. This is not true. So he has to stop justifying everything by the fact that he won 2 cups in 2 seasons, because that's BS, really. Because if you look at last season, they were terrible from start to finish. It was an absolute shambles. And yeah, in the end, they won the FA Cup somehow, but Coventry should have beaten them. Even before that, Newport should have beaten them. They were 2-2 against Newport in the last 16 or the quarter-final or something, and Coventry were unlucky not to beat them in the semi-final at Wembley. So this line about, I won 2 trophies, so you can't criticise me, I'm doing a great job, the fans love me, I'm doing great. This is not true. He's in denial about that.
Mario, are we being too harsh?
No, I think I was surprised by the way Ten Hag got exposed by Slot, because they both know each other. They played against each other a number of times, you understand, because of the Dutch background and the league in Holland. And for him, then we have to remember, Slot has a player in Gravenberch. Gravenberch is the player that was very instrumental in the system when Ten Hag was on board. So, having said that, he knows a lot about that kid. You know, the way he goes right through the middle and the way why Slot played him, because he knew that when Ajax has the ball, we stretch the game wide open. When we lose the ball, we make it very compact. When you see Liverpool has the ball, they stretch them. The way they stretch them is the way they use the speed up front and they hit them on the brakes so fast, and Man United becomes exposed. Where do they become exposed? Right in the middle. Where was the biggest problem? I'm sure you guys talked about it. I was surprised. Look, Casemiro. The thing with Casemiro is not only that, look, we all know about the history of his playing and the things that he has achieved, great. But if you want to play with a player like that, you have to keep it compact. If you don't do that, you're exposing him yourself. So it's not only that Casemiro might have a bad game, because if you looked at the first half, but you're also exposing him by letting your game be stretched wide open, and then you get exposed. So I don't think that was technically well set up. And what Craig said about Manuel, he's a young player. He needs some help from the experience. And the experience around him can only talk to him when they are comfortable themselves. But when they saw themselves also struggling with the space around them, it becomes a difficulty. And I think that was the biggest surprise for me, that Slot really knew in advance what his weaknesses were. and he really exposed it really, really big. And I was really surprised. Yeah, Sirks had an opportunity, but away from the opportunity, Liverpool could have won more, with more goals, and it shouldn't have never happened. This is one of the biggest games in England, and it clearly didn't look like it.
They got Southampton. I was just looking. They got Southampton and Crystal Palace after the international break.
Which, if you want to play anyone after the international, it's not the end of the world, is it?
Well, it's not the end of the world.
Unless it is the end of the world if you don't get results.
Unless you play badly. Newly promoted team in Southampton, a side in Crystal Palace that got the first point at the weekend against Chelsea, played better in the second half, but isn't the biggest squad, got a good manager in Oliver Glasner. If he loses those 2 games, right, and we can't rule that out with this United side, we just can't, then I would suggest we could see a change as soon as the end of September. I mean, that's how quickly this could all sort of come on top of him again. And they'll be noting his press conferences because it happened all last year. So they're not just watching, they're listening. They're watching. You know, you've got Dan Ashworth there now, Barada, Jason Wilcox is in, Brailsford, and then you got the big money men, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos. They're all watching, right? They're all trying to plot a plan for the next few years. But there's also an immediate future to be dealt with. It's now. And it's about results. And you can talk about 3 years and 5 years, but if you lose the next 2 or 3 games or pick up minimal points, they're going to have to make a decision. So he can talk about trophies all he wants. He needs to beat Southampton and Crystal Palace when this international break's over, or he could be toast. And let's be honest, we wouldn't be surprised. We wouldn't be sitting here going, oh, that's a bit harsh. We'd be saying, should have done it in May. Yeah. Should have taken a decision, even if he didn't have quite the person you wanted. Should have taken it then.
How much of a difference do you feel he will make when he eventually plays? And is there a concern that you maybe should have tried to get him or got him earlier in the window?
So this is another one. We have to build him in the team, and it will take time. And so it's not like I'm Harry Potter, and that is what you have to acknowledge. And if you see Manuel Ugarte, he didn't play so far in the season, not one match minute. And so, yeah, he need to build his fitness state. And then we have to build him in the team. And then I'm sure he will contribute to our level, and he will be an important player. But that will take a couple of weeks, maybe even months, and that I think counts for more players. Also, for instance, Josh Zirkzee, he made big steps the last 3-4 weeks. I'm very pleased with his performance today, but I didn't expect this 4 weeks ago.
Jules, I'm so glad you're back, because you're really the only person I can ask this question to who can give a proper answer. If Ugarte is such a good player and is going to be the saviour of Manchester United, why has he not played a minute for PSG this season? Why didn't he feature extensively for the French champions last year? Why were they happy to see him go?
They're really good questions. I think it's really simple, and I would want to think that United and Erik Ten Hag signed Ugarte because that's the number 6 that they wanted, which is not the number 6 that Luis Enrique wanted. It's as simple as that. In Paris, Luis Enrique wanted a 6 that was a ball-playing, like a deeper midfielder, if you want, like a ball-playing 6 who could build up from the back, being involved in that first phase of play when you try to play out from the back. And for that, Ugarte can't do it. This is not his game. Technical ability of this kind of level is not his. He's got great other qualities, and he will be an enforcer, and he will work hard, recover the ball, tackles, break the opposition's attacks, all of that, he's wonderful. But if you want to build up the game with him, I mean, you know, the 2 centre-backs, he comes in between, you can find him, and then he will get that ball going forward. This is not him. And that's why Luis Enrique benched him at some point, because he was not happy with the fact that he could not do that. So I would want to hope and I want to believe that United signed him, knowing all of that, obviously, and then not banking on him to be able to do that, because that's not him. So if they want an enforcer, he's perfect for that. Then get Kobe Mainu to be the guy who's going to help you build from the back and play out from the back. It's not Ugarte for that matter.
You're inevitably going to find yourself in that position, and you're going to have to receive the ball from centre-halves, goalkeeper, full-backs. And if that's not his game, then he's better at breaking the play up. But they had a huge problem yesterday where Liverpool just pounced on them and closed them down.
Yeah.
So, you're bringing in a guy who that's not his strength to play out from the back, but you're going to still try and play out from the back.
This was our optimistic Man United bit. This has turned sour very quickly.
There is no optimistic Man United bit at the moment. And even though, as Shaq said, I think they have signed some better players, I think currently, and I'll be straight about it, I think they continue to have a coach whose head's in the clouds. And just how he seems to have pulled the wool over some of these Man United fans' eyes is beggars belief. It beggars belief. Because the eye test on the performances, apart from 2 games against Liverpool, apart from the final against Man City, when Man City were really off colour, and it's not to take away from United, but
hungover.
But off colour, I think. But what we saw yesterday was something that we saw many, many times last year and probably over the last few years, even before he was there. But it's just simply not good enough. And if Ugarte finds himself in these positions that Casemiro found himself in, he's going to be quite uncomfortable for him.
Mario, is an Ugarte a Ten Hag player? Would he have someone like that at Ajax in the way that he played there?
No, because also the way Jules described him. You know what the key thing is in Ajax? If we play football and there is one in the team, only one player in the team that doesn't always show for the ball, you understand? You have a problem. You understand, I know his game is more about breaking the play up, you understand, and that is kind of like what almost like a team that is in difficulty, you look for that. But this is Man United. They have to do more than just that. You don't want to break up just the play. You also got to influence the game. And what is the key thing in yesterday's game is trying to take control of the game. City, when they play the best football, they took control of the game from the first minute to the last. What Liverpool did was identical. Control. They controlled the tempo. They knew when they wanted to press. They pressed them so high. It's not a lot of people that say like, oh, I'm going to Man United and I'm going to press you that high. No, only the teams that believe in themselves and know they can beat you. And that's what Liverpool did. And then I say like, things like that is Ugarte is going to come. He's going to fill himself in a team that is almost screaming for help. But he also needs help because he's just coming into the Premier League and you just have to learn, and you want people around you that can kind of like guide you in the right direction. But now he probably has to help them to guide them all with him in the right direction. And that is going to be a big test for him.
Why a 35-year-old former Doncaster Rovers player joined Manchester United. Manchester United's academy, renowned for its excellence, has made a groundbreaking move by appointing Tommy Rowe as a player coach. As one insider put it, sometimes you need a seasoned player on the pitch to give a reality check to young talents, because football is a fiercely competitive world. The noise in Premier League stadiums might drown out what players say on the field, but anyone familiar with the lower leagues knows just how ruthless football can be. The on-field chatter is often audible, and it's a constant reminder that no one wants to be on the losing side. It's a battle for survival. This harsh reality of senior football explains why Premier League clubs are increasingly welcoming veteran players into hybrid player-coach roles within their academies. Brighton was one of the first top-tier clubs to create such a position, with Dan Ashworth, now sporting director at Old Trafford, being one of the pioneers. In 2019, Brighton appointed Andrew Crofts as the under-21 player coach. Crofts, who had made 125 appearances for Brighton, was 35 years old when he joined and was seen as the perfect fit for what the club needed at the time. Ashworth described it as an innovative step, saying, "We're thrilled to have Andrew on board. The idea behind the player role is to have someone with his experience out there on the pitch, guiding our younger players and passing on the crucial knowledge he's gained during his career. The merit of these player coach roles lies in the unique perspective a veteran brings. They can coach, offer on-field guidance, sometimes a stern word, and help set high standards by showing younger players how to train and play effectively. In 2021, Manchester United followed suit by appointing Paul McShane, a product of their own academy, as a player coach. Reflecting on his role a year later, McShane said, "I've played in a few behind closed doors matches, but my main role is coaching. I've worked across different age groups, mainly with the under-16s, but also with the under-14s, 15s, and some video analysis with the under-18s. I've been all over the place, really. The players have responded well to my instructions on the field. I'm quite vocal, but they haven't taken my advice personally. It's not personal, it's about helping them improve. Their attitude has been great." The experiment was deemed a success, and when McShane transitioned fully into coaching, United needed a replacement. Enter Tom Huddlestone, the former Premier League midfielder with stints at Tottenham, Derby, Hull, and England. He took on the academy player coach role in August 2022, surprising those unfamiliar with United's youth setup by appearing in under-21 matches. Huddlestone was actively involved in planning meetings, organizing and participating in warm-ups with academy players, and leading parts of each training session. He even scored the winning goal for the under-21s against Manchester City in February, which went viral online. Huddlestone left United at the end of last season to join the coaching staff at Wigan Athletic, leaving United searching for their next hybrid appointment. Tommy Rowe may not be a household name, but he was identified as someone who could step into Huddlestone's shoes. The Manchester Evening News exclusively revealed in July that Rowe was under consideration, and he has now officially joined the club following the close of the transfer window. Rowe played on trial for the under-21s during pre-season and impressed United staff with his character, football knowledge, and fitness levels. A source within United's academy described Rowe as fit as a fiddle and said he was the best they've ever seen among the players brought in for the innovative player coach role.